Hey guys, welcome. I hope you're doing well. So today I'm going to be doing a different kind of video. I'm going to be dropping a ton of knowledge for you. This will most likely be the most in-depth video that I have ever created, but this video is going to change your life. So stick around, grab a pen, grab some paper, open your phone, do whatever you need to do to take some notes because this is the kind of stuff that will change your life. I'm glad you're here and I hope you enjoy. All right, guys, so let's get right into it. I'm basically going to be breaking everything down into a step by step process as to how I went from being a kid with no direction to being an abusive alcoholic, growing into a high functioning entrepreneur, back to being an abusive alcoholic with a drug problem, and then back again to being a strong role model for my son. So here we go. This is how I help high pressure men build a positive mindset, rebuild their emotional resilience, and become respected leaders while getting jacked in 180 days or less without losing control or burning out. So here's what happened when chaos was replaced with structure. Now, the first picture is me in 2014. Obviously, I have my beautiful son in my arms and every reason to smile. My business is thriving. I am in the middle of flipping my first house. I am currently married in this photo, and everything on the outside in my life looks absolutely amazing. The only problem is that on the inside, I am absolutely dying on account of instability and never starting with growing myself before growing anything else around me in my life. The second photo, we're going to fast forward a few years. This is about 2 years post divorce. I have realized that blaming everybody and everything for the circumstances in my life has gotten me nowhere and will continue to get me nowhere. And this day was actually one of the most freeing days I've ever experienced, even though I was obviously still in a mental prison battling severe anxiety, stress, and depression. Now, that day in the gym, that was 2 years in the making. The depression's still there, but I got there through a small series of small steps before being able to get to that point. Now, fast forward a few years, even after that, I am heavily into Muay Thai, still using both of these fitness levels as an outlet for anger, resentment. It has been quite a process getting to where I am today. Now, this fourth picture, this was taken actually a couple of weeks ago. I am currently living my dream life in the Dominican Republic. I have a sound mind through all the work I have done over the last decade. I am relaxed. I have peace in my life. I have peace in my heart. And everything is genuinely going well on the inside and on the outside. So all of that to say that I went from severe anxiety to living a life of tranquility and peace. Obviously, of course, life still has its curveballs, but we have learned to be stronger, more emotionally resilient, to be able to handle those curveballs and to become more of a success in life on the inside and on the outside. So through all that process, guys, I rebuilt my mind and my jacked body became the byproduct. If you're here because you want to get jacked, I can help you do that. But the primary mandate of my program is to give you peace of mind, is to clear your mind so that you can become a better man, a better role model for your kids or your future kids, a better leader for your wife or your girlfriend, your fiance, your partner, whatever. For me, everything started with my mind, and the body just became a byproduct of going after a clear mind. So, all in all, like I said, I became a present minded leader. I've regained clarity, structure, personal leadership, and became a steady, present father and a man of integrity that people respect. And guys, I'm not it, all the work, all the soul crushing shit that I have been through has become absolutely worth it in this present day. So this isn't theory, this is actual lived execution. Like I am living proof that this is possible and I want this for every man out there. Now, This is for you if you are a man carrying pressure, you are a driven man who feels like you're barely holding everything together despite your success. You are internally inconsistent, so you've built some success, but you still feel emotionally reactive on the inside. If that sounds like you, then this is for you. If you are still struggling with anger or anxiety, you start strong with some kind of routine on your own, but you eventually fall off, which is totally normal. You have emotional overreactions that are costing you money, your vital relationships, and your respect. Also, like if you're trying to do all this on your own, like it's totally normal. Again, guys, this took me 10 years to figure this out. And if you want real respect, you want to be respected by your family, your peers, and yourself to become mentally resilient, physically strong, and emotionally composed, then this program is definitely for you. Now, let's go over who this is not for. I wish I could work with everybody. In my heart, I want to help everybody, but if you try to help everybody, I know that I'll help nobody. So I did have to get a little cutthroat with this. So this is not for you if you are the type of man to blame your circumstances and people. Like you're out here blaming your wife or your girlfriend, you're blaming your kids, your job, and everything else under the sun that indicates that you can't be reasoned with. If you are just here because you're here for the motivational content, you just want the to feel good and not be accountable for anything. You're looking for a hype man to pat your bum and tell you you're doing great instead of having a system that holds you to a higher standard, then this isn't for you. If you are the type of person to avoid ownership, you're unwilling to examine and take responsibility for your own patterns, then this isn't for you. And lastly, if you are not ready to be challenged, if you think confidence comes from fake flexing instead of leading, and you're not ready to be pushed, then this isn't for you either. Now, I am willing to work with people who are hard to work with, but these four indicators tell me that you are just not ready to be led or coached, and you need to be both in order to coach and lead the people around you. So I hope that clears some things up, guys. Like I said, I want to help everybody, but we have to be realistic here. So here's a truth that no one wants to talk about. I know that after years and years of having a particular mindset or having something instilled in you, the way you were raised to think or be, you kind of get to a point where it's like it's just totally normal to you to think the way that you do, but you can absolutely rebuild your mindset without countless hours of therapy, becoming obsessive, or working 16 to 18 hours a day. Now, most men fail because they don't understand how to build identity before goals. They'll create structure before motivation and master emotional control rather than suppress emotion. They think that they have to smarten up before starting something new. They'll chase intensity instead of consistency. And on top of all of that, they are more than happy to go after a result without building the infrastructure to be able to handle their desired outcome. Now, there is no such thing as the thought of, I'm just wired this way and I can't change. Listen, your reactions are trained, your habits are installed, and both can be rebuilt. It just requires daily practice, like anything else worth becoming great at. Now, in my program, we're going to teach you how to eliminate self sabotage. We're going to teach you how to rebuild your mind and your body. We're going to teach you emotional steadiness. And that is how you're going to become a respected leader in 180 days that others are going to want to follow, all without burning out. Now, before we get into anything further, here's a little background of myself and how we got here. So, my name is Michael Hart. I am 41 years old. I'm a father to my son Noah, and powerful leadership matters to me. I didn't grow up with structure, I grew up in chaos. By 18, I was expelled twice and arrested several times. By my early 20s, my life looked impressive, but on the outside, I was trying to keep up an image of success. I left my hometown. I got a job 3 hours away, splitting rock by hand, and then started painting luxury waterfront homes. Eventually, I started my own business. I went door to door to hand out flyers with no money, no vehicle, and debt. And everyone said it would take 5 years to establish that business. But after working 18-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, it only took 2 seasons to build a team of 30 people serving multi-million dollar properties. I had quit drinking, quit smoking, quit drugs for the first time, not because I thought it was bad for me, because I just didn't have time for it. And while I just assumed my past was behind me, I slowly realized that after several years, that business success doesn't fix instability. And with no longer self-medicating, I began to feel anxious. I thought I was just nervous in general, but between the pressure of marriage that I put on myself and business growth without a plan, my life eventually led to severe anxiety, burnout, and depression. The result of this was divorce, resentment, and blame. It took 2 years after the official failure of my marriage to realize that everything happening in my life was my fault to own and my responsibility to fix. The day I stopped blaming circumstances and took responsibility was the day everything shifted. I still remember where I was and the song that I was listening to. Now, at the time, all I knew was to keep coming to the gym to blow off steam to help curb my mental health. I had no goal to build muscle or to get to a certain weight. My main priority was just to expend years of pent up energy and clear my mind. And over time, this led to more freedom and expansion, and every success since has been a byproduct. So I began the journey to rebuild my mind, and over the years, I gained the confidence to believe in myself. I developed resilience in mental health, some purpose driven direction and ambition, integrity and reliability, and the most important to me, emotional intelligence and a leadership presence. So now I teach men to do the same. So here's the rebuild leader framework stable. The rebuild leader framework. We start in phase 1 of 4 with stabilization. Your way most likely looks like operating off of emotion. You train when you're motivated or when it feels good, and you lean when it's convenient. It's easy to say like, yeah, I'm doing well with this or that or the other thing when everything's going well, but you know as well as I do, it's inconsistent. So what we try to do is we install non-negotiables, starting with a morning and daily protocol, environmental control, structured weekly review. And as you know, that will create some level of stability to get you started. Now, before we keep going any further, I am about to share a ton of information with you. Do not get overwhelmed by it. Press pause if you need to, take a break, write some things down, take some pictures with your phone of the screen, do whatever you need to do. But just remember that this took me 10 years to learn, and I've pretty much packaged it into a 6 month framework for you to follow to transform your life as well. But it is about to sound like a ton of information as we jump in here. So let's keep it rolling. We start off with physical dominance and physiological control, which is just an intricate way of saying we are going to start lifting and we're going to watch what we eat. So most men try to fix their mindset while running on caffeine, energy drinks, cortisol, and inconsistent fuel. And that is ass backwards. Now, what you're doing right now is you have your random workouts. There's no structure, there's no progressive overload, just sporadic effort when motivation strikes. You have poor nutrition, you skip meals, you undereat protein, or you're undereating in general, and then you wonder why energy crashes. This is huge to your nervous system overload. You are overstressing the body without recovery, which leads to brain fog, emotional reactivity, and zero physical authority. And as you know, the result, you have energy crashes, brain fog, emotional reactivity, and again, zero physical authority. So what we do, we stabilize your physiology first, because if your biology is unstable, your leadership is unstable. So we focus on strength-based training, a 4-day progressive split with performance tracking, structured overload, and recovery calibrated to your stress load. So with that said, 4 days is a general goal. Depending on your schedule, we may start with 2 to 3, 4 days. If you want 5 or 6, we can do that, but we do need to incorporate at least 1 day of rest. And again, everything will depend on your current lifestyle, where you're at, and then we tailor it to you. Okay, so leadership fuel protocol, again, this is just what you're eating. We are going to stabilize your protein intake, your blood sugar, your meal timing, and strategic carbohydrate placement without obsession or extreme restriction, just performance-based fueling that sharpens cognition and boosts testosterone naturally. Again, I know that sounds like a lot, but realistically, we do all this for you. We basically spoon feed you, pun intended, exactly what to do and when on a daily basis, and we keep it light, especially to start. So moving on to energy and stress regulation, we want to align your sleep consistency first, as I believe this is the leading domino to everything else. You can train well, you can eat well, you can rest throughout it, but as long as you are not sleeping well, everything else is just gonna fall. So we start with sleep consistency, caffeine control, nervous system recovery, and training intensity with life stress. This is where burnout stops and composure begins. There is definitely a science to all of this. So the leadership fuel protocol, to kind of elaborate on everything and package everything into an easier explanation, we don't diet. We just eliminate friction. Most men think they lack discipline, but they actually lack physiological stability, which is another way of saying you're just not eating correctly, you're not fueling or feeding yourself correctly, and that's leading to a negative domino effect of everything else in your life. So again, what we install: a protein minimum daily, blood sugar consistency, meal timing aligned with performance, strategic carbohydrate placement, and removal of inflammatory high trigger foods. Now, realistically, it's to simplify things, all you really need to do is like A and B, and then C, D, E, F, G, and H will like fall into place for you. Okay. So it's not like you have to be doing every single tiny thing mentioned here to a T. It's like we make this easy and seamless for you. Again, I know it sounds like a lot, but just bear with me. It is actually very simple. And if you are anything like me, you're just overthinking this. So again, what you'll get is a stabilized mood, reduced anxiety spikes, improved sleep quality, sharper cognition, and naturally boosted testosterone. Again, there's no obsession, no extreme restriction. You can still eat your favorite foods within reason, as we don't want you to be hating your way to strength and better health. Think like, instead of me saying, you can't have this or you can't have that, it's saying, just have this and have that. And eventually you'll be feeling so good, you won't want to continue with whatever bad habits that you currently have. Okay, so we're into the energy part of phase 2, energy and stress regulation. Again, we start with sleep consistency. You're going to anchor your recovery with non-negotiable sleep protocols that restore hormonal balance. We want to limit your caffeine. So we are going to use strategic caffeine use that supports performance without spiking cortisol or disrupting sleep. So an easy way to say that is, instead of waking up and going straight to your morning coffee, spiking your cortisol and your energy levels only to have them crash later in the morning or early in the afternoon, you are going to start with a glass of water with a little bit of salt in it for electrolytes. Drink that, eat some breakfast, and then have your coffee. This will give you sustained energy for a longer period of time. And if you're not a breakfast person just yet, then just make sure you get that water in you before your morning coffee. You will feel a night and day difference within a day or two, I promise. Nervous system recovery, deliberate recovery practices that bring the body out of chronic fight or flight mode. So this is a big one, guys, myself included, along with a lot of men. We ignore this. We just, as long as we think we have the energy to keep moving, we keep it moving. And the problem with that I had to learn the hard way was, you can keep it moving until you can't. Okay. And you'll have 1,000 problems until you have a health problem, and then you only have one problem. And it took me a very long time to get out of that problem. Lastly, we have training load alignment. Training intensity is calibrated to your real life stress load, not a generic program. So obviously, this program that I have built is what worked for me. It was tailored to my lifestyle, which was definitely extreme in both directions. It was extreme in a sense where I was working 16 to 18 hours a day, and then it was extreme to a point where I couldn't get out of bed for nearly 2 to 3 years. Like physically could not get out of bed. I was that far gone, burnt out, and depressed. So there isn't much that I haven't experienced from one end of the scale to the other, and I can tailor this program to fit pretty much anybody's needs within reason that falls into the lines of what we're talking about here. So again, this is where burnout stops. This is where composure begins. And we're just going to do our best to get there. So the result of all of this and phase 3 is emotional control. Again, this was the goal. This was what my primary mandate was, but we do start with the other phases because it's getting that pent up energy out. It's getting the movement in place in your life. That is what helps free your mind. You're not going to think your way out of chaos into a free mind. All right, and so after all of that, we come to the result in phase 3, which is emotional control. So when a man trains with structure, his posture changes, his voice slows, his decisions sharpen, and his presence stabilizes. He doesn't have to force confidence anymore. It just shows up naturally. And this is where self-respect begins compounding. So your way, which I'm sure hasn't been working for you, you suppress your emotions, you explode, you apologize to whoever you need to apologize to, and then you repeat. The result is obviously broken trust and self-respect from the people around you, and of course from yourself as well. So what we do is we incorporate trigger mapping, response framing, responsibility anchoring, and then you learn to respond instead of react. After that comes leadership installation. Now, again, your way, you wait until life slows down to try and get caught up. You react to circumstances, or you lead from a place of stress and scarcity. And the result of that is that respect never compounds. Now, the new way, we set clear standards, you define your vision, and you lead with calm intensity. This is where respect compounds because leadership is not a title. It's a standard you hold yourself to every single day. Now we're going to talk about my first and favorite client. His name is Oscar. Now when Oscar came to me, he had already done a ton of work on himself. He tried everything. He was training. On paper, everything looked fantastic in his life. He's a good-looking guy. He has an excellent job. He owns his own house. He's responsible. And everything, just like me, everything he had looked excellent on the outside, but internally he was suffering. So we got him on the program. He was already training consistently, so we just bumped that up a bit and made it a little more intense. And that helped him to gain some clarity. Okay, from gaining clarity, he handled pressures calmly. And from there, he earned more respect for himself, which was the primary mandate here. He was respected by his friends and family. It came down to finding respect for himself. So like I said, when he came to me, he had tried everything from therapy to training programs, traveling, self-expression through music. And no matter the progress he made, he would eventually sabotage it. And it wasn't like he wasn't lacking effort. He was just lacking structure, positive mindset, and identity level discipline. So what that means is he was practicing strength training, fitness. His body was an absolute reflection of that. So it was easy to relay my message to him that just like all the work it took him to build the body that he had and build the skill martial arts that he had to do the same when it came to his mindset. He had to put in the work and apply the tools that I gave him to strengthen his mindset, just like his body. And now he's a powerhouse. So we did this through installing small daily disciplines. Again, I know this program all at once sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. It's 10 years compressed into 6 months, and we make it easy for you. So we start with small daily disciplines. We give you a clear weekly structure, objective accountability, and deep self-reflection, non-negotiable standards. So think like any role-playing game, Nintendo, PlayStation, whatever it is, if you're a gamer, the levels start out easy and they start getting harder as the levels go up, but you're also getting better and stronger. So we try to keep that kind of system and mentality to ease your way into becoming a full packaged man. So what changed with Oscar was he eliminated patterns that had controlled him for over a decade. He stopped self-sabotaging real opportunities and rebuilt stability in his personal and professional life to move forward. His biggest shift was that he no longer sees setbacks as proof that he's broken. He sees them as part of the process. He became a man who doesn't react or collapse under pressure and has made literal life-changing progress. So to look at his biggest shift of no longer seeing setbacks as proof he's broken, that opened up a door to a world of change for him. That's where everything is rooted. So it is literally a world of opportunity that opened for him, and he has changed his life drastically on account of it, and it has been an absolute pleasure to watch. So clearly, the system works. When a man keeps promises to himself, he trains consistently, controls his responses, and operates from standards. The mental clarity follows, and clarity fuels better decisions. Better decisions fuel confidence, and confidence fuels leadership. And the cycle continually compounds. It is an amazing thing to watch. So again, we're going to look at who this is for. If you are a 25-year-old man and up, if you are an entrepreneur, an executive, or a blue collar provider, a father or a future father, or a man under pressure who refuses to break, this is for you, my guy. What you will build in 180 days through the Rebuilt Leader Framework is to rebuild your body, your emotional intelligence, and leadership identity, creating legacy in 180 days for the generations to come with less chaos than figuring it out all alone. We are going to give you a rebuilt physique and physical authority, emotional composure under real pressure, and a leadership identity that earns lasting respect. Now, again, for me, if you're working with me, our mandate is to free your mind and clear it. Everything else will be a byproduct to your success. Okay, guys, so here it is, the 6-month one-on-one rebuilt leader method. We are going to start with your body recomposition and nutrition, which is more or less your customized strength training and performance-based fueling framework. Then we move on to emotional control framework. We're going to work on trigger mapping, response framing, and responsibility anchoring. We do include weekly accountability calls. That includes a one-on-one strategy and accountability sessions every week for 6 months to make sure that you're staying on top of your shit. From there, we work toward your identity rewiring system, deep identity level work that makes the changes permanent. And after that, last but not least, we install leadership and vision installation. This is where you define your standards, your vision, and you lead with calm intensity. If you do the work but don't experience measurable growth, I will continue working with you personally until you do. So that's a complete 180 for yourself in 180 days to transform. So now that you're ready to move forward, and if you want similar results and access to this system, hit the link below and book a call with me for a one-on-one consultation. Now, the worst case, if this isn't a fit, we will point you in the right direction. But if you are a good fit, we'll discuss working together. I'm looking forward to talking with you, and I will talk to you soon. So guys, thanks again for watching. If you found the details of this video to be valuable for yourself, click the link below and book a call with me. Would love to talk to you so that we can start creating the life that you want instead of reacting to the life that you have. We'll talk to you soon.